the vast unforgiving expanse of the North Atlantic Ocean. It is May 1941. World War II rages, a maelstrom of conflict engulfing nations. Here in these icy grey waters, a drama of immense proportions is about to unfold. The date, May 24th, 1941, will forever be etched in naval history. It was a day when steel titans, marvels of engineering and symbols of national power, were set on a collision course. The air crackled with tension, a palpable sense of impending doom hanging heavy. The stakes could not have been higher for both sides. This was more than just a battle. It was a test of wills, of technology, and of courage against the brutal backdrop of a world at war. The scene is the Denmark Strait, a narrow passage between Greenland and Iceland. It is a choke point, a crucial artery for shipping, and now a theatre of war. Imagine the biting wind, the relentless swell of the cold sea. Visibility is often poor, with fog and mist clinging to the waves. This is no place for the faint-hearted. It is a realm where nature itself is an adversary. Yet it is here that two of the most famous warships ever built would meet in a deadly ballet. HMS Hood was more than just a warship, she was a legend. Launched in 1918, just as the Great War was drawing to a close, she was the largest warship in the world for 20 years. Her very name, the Mighty Hood, evoked a sense of awe and invincibility. For an entire generation, she was the embodiment of British naval supremacy. She undertook numerous goodwill tours, flying the white ensign in far-flung corners of the British Empire and beyond. Her sleek lines and powerful armament made her an object of immense national pride. Her construction began during the First World War, part of the Admiral class of battlecruisers. These ships were designed to be fast and heavily armed, capable of hunting down and destroying enemy cruisers. Hood was the only one of her class to be completed, incorporating some lessons from the Battle of Jutland. She was commissioned into the Royal Navy in 1920. Across the North Sea, a new naval power was rising. Nazi Germany, under Adolf Hitler, was determined to challenge British dominance. The Kriegsmarine, Germany's navy, was being rebuilt with formidable new warships. The jewel in its crown was the battleship Bismarck, named after the famous 19th-century German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. This vessel was a statement of intent. She was one of the largest and most powerful battleships ever built by Germany. Her construction was a marvel of German engineering and a source of immense national pride. Launched in Hamburg on February 14, 1939, amidst great fanfare and with Hitler himself in attendance, Bismarck embodied the Third Reich's aggressive ambitions. Her design incorporated the latest naval technology. She displaced over 50,000 tons at full load, stretching 823 feet in length. When comparing HMS Hood and Bismarck, we're looking at two giants of naval warfare, yet they represented different eras of design philosophy. Hood, conceived during World War I, was a battlecruiser. Bismarck, a product of the late 1930s, was a true fast battleship. Let's lay out their vital statistics. Hood displaced around 47,430 tons fully loaded, while Bismarck was heavier at approximately 50,300 tons. In terms of length, Hood was longer at 860 feet 7 inches compared to Bismarck's 823 feet 6 inches. Their main armaments were superficially similar, both mounting 8 15-inch guns. Hood's were the older Mark I model, while Bismarck boasted the more modern SKC-34 guns. These German guns had a higher muzzle velocity and arguably a flatter trajectory, contributing to their renowned accuracy. Section 5. Speed and Sacrifice, Hood's Vulnerable Design. HMS Hood was a child of the battlecruiser concept. This philosophy, championed by Admiral Jackie Fisher in the early 20th century, prioritized speed and firepower over heavy armor. The idea was that battlecruisers could use their speed to choose their battles, outrunning more heavily armored battleships and outgunning smaller cruisers. They were intended to be scouts for the main fleet and to hunt down enemy commerce raiders. Hood was the ultimate expression of this concept, a magnificent vessel that could indeed achieve high speeds and deliver a powerful punch with her 15-inch guns. This speed was a key part of her legendary status. Section 6. Bismarck's Bastion, a fortress on the seas. In stark contrast to HMS Hood's interwar design compromises, the battleship Bismarck represented the pinnacle of 1930s German naval engineering, with a clear emphasis on survivability. German warship designers had long favored robust construction and comprehensive armor protection, lessons learned from their own experiences in World War I at battles like Jutland. Bismarck was built to absorb tremendous punishment and keep fighting. Her designers did not skimp on armor. Indeed, a significant portion of her displacement was dedicated to her protective scheme, creating what many considered a veritable fortress of steel. Bismarck's main armor belt was incredibly thick, up to 320 millimeters or 12.6 inches in places, designed to protect her vital machinery and magazines from direct hits. Crucially, her deck armor was also substantial. Section 7. The Denmark Strait battle lines drawn. The morning of May 24, 1941 dawned cold and grey in the Denmark Strait. The British squadron, consisting of HMS Hood and the brand-new battleship HMS Prince of Wales, had finally made contact with the German force Bismarck and the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen. Admiral Lancelot Holland aboard Hood knew he had to engage quickly. His flagship, Hood, was vulnerable to plunging shells at long range. His plan was to close the distance rapidly, forcing a shorter range engagement where Bismarck's shells would hopefully strike Hood's thicker belt armor rather than her thinner decks. The wind whipped spray across the decks as the British ships surged forward. The German ships, under the command of Admiral Gunther Lutyens aboard Bismarck, were aware of the British approach. They had been spotted by British cruisers the previous day, and the element of surprise was lost. Lutyens initially hesitated to engage capital ships, his orders being to prioritize commerce raiding. However, with the British clearly intent on battle, he had no choice but to fight. Section 8. A Fatal Salvo, the demise of the mighty Hood. The battle had only been raging for a few minutes. HMS Hood and HMS Prince of Wales were turning to port, a maneuver intended to bring their full broadsides to bear on the German ships. This turn, however, may have further exposed Hood's vulnerable decks to Bismarck's shells. At 6 o'clock, just 8 minutes after Hood had opened fire, Bismarck fired her fifth salvo. At least one 15-inch armor-piercing shell from this salvo struck Hood in a critical area, likely near her mainmast, plunging deep into the ship. The exact point of impact and the shell's trajectory have been debated for decades, but the result was undeniably catastrophic. Eyewitnesses on HMS Prince of Wales and the German ships described a colossal explosion. A massive jet of flame erupted from Hood, soaring hundreds of feet into the air, followed by a devastating detonation that tore the mighty battlecruiser in two. The stern section sank almost immediately. The bow section rose vertically, then plunged beneath the waves.
If you like what you saw and you want more, this video was suggested by one of my viewers. If you have a video suggestion, let me know in the comments. I will be glad to make a video about the topic. And this is not my voice if you were wondering. This is an AI, and this video was made with AI, but with human touch-up, it was improved. One thing before you leave the video is stay a loyal fan. Thanks a lot if you are. Also, be nice and don't let the T-90 bite when you go to sleep, and hopefully doesn't arrive at your door at 3 a.m. anyways. Bye.